A quick video from me about this Hantavirus thing. I'm actually going to refer to it because I think at the moment Gulag Tube is going to push anything that mentions this scary virus, this Hantavirus. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. What I've noticed, it's been pushed a lot on social media, Facebook and stuff like that. And they've used the same crisis actors as before. Um, and basically, there's one, it's similar to kind of, Money Box and all the rest of it, but they actually are doing one thing differently. Um, and they're upping the ante. And I don't know if you've noticed this, in that they're already forcibly detaining people in quarantine who they say have been exposed to this deadly virus. And I think, well, they've not done that for a very long time, like forcibly holding people against their will in so-called quarantine. And I think for normies and NPCs, they're extremely selfish people. So they're not really bothered about people being detained by the state against their will, provided that it's not them. And I've also seen, people sort of NPCs and normies writing comments to the effect that, oh, they need to stop these cruise ships, they need to pull people off, they need to hold them in detention, blah, 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 blah. I don't know whether that's bots or not, but I think that is something new. This is or new, bearing in mind all the other kind of scams that they've tried to pull post 2020. This is up in the ante again. And I think it's interesting. It's interesting. What I recommend you guys do is to get on your social media and write something. It might only be one word, Jackanory. That's my favourite one. Underneath Daily Mail comment posts and stuff. And because this thing, it obviously does not exist. It's a complete fabrication. And that brings me on to my other point, which is to NHS doctors and nurses. Have you learnt anything? Are you going to go along with this tyranny again to keep your job? And I really sincerely hope that you don't, because you will know that this is complete BS, complete bullshit. So please do not go along with this. How much is your freedom and your grandchildren's freedom worth to you? It should be worth more than your shitty NHS job. Okay, so the next thing is this King's Speech thing. I think this is also quite interesting in that the Sturmfuhrer has he's raised the issue of digital ID again. And what we must do is I know it's painful, try to talk to normies and NPCs and warn them about this, that this will be used as part of a digital control grid. Explain to them again, the standard arguments about once you have a digital ID, you're just handing the state an enormous amount of power to lock you out of all sorts of things that constitute basic human rights, like an access to a bank account of some sort. So what we must do is explain to NPCs that link between that and CBDCs and programmable digital currencies and all of the rest of it. I was talking to somebody this morning about this here in Finland, and basically asking them whether they think that people have learnt. And it's quite interesting because you've got different sample compositions, different people mixed with different people. Like from what I see, about a third of people here using cash. But this person was saying, well, a lot of the people that they interact with through work, they just pay for everything with their phone. And so I was asking them about whether they would go along with digital ID, and I think the answer was along the lines that many of them will just probably think that there's nothing wrong with it, and they'll do it for convenience. They already have everything on their phone. And I remember like just saying, imagine, in 20 years' time, if you said to these people, because for me, I'm kind of always thinking anti-fragile. Like if I had everything on my phone, guess what? I'd be absolutely paranoid that I would leave my phone somewhere, and or B, the phone would run out of battery or it would stop working. And of course, in 20 years or so, they'll come up with the smart idea of, oh yeah, normies and NPCs, why don't you have this chip inserted that runs off your own body's electricity, blah blah blah, and kind of dumb normies and NPCs, many of them will go with that, won't they? That's assuming that they've not been deleted by the Britney Spears and the boosters injections that they've been having recently. But there is this sort of hardcore of people with this sort of, many of them might be computer nerds or people with an engineering kind of mindset. And they tend to like technology. They tend to be overly trusting people. They think that this technology might never be used by rich and powerful people, to their detriment. Because rich and powerful people, they never do any bad things. They never get together and coordinate their actions, do they? And do stuff that's good for them at your expense. No, that could never happen. They're so trusting, they're so naive, and it is such a pain in the backside because the compliance of these idiots and fools. Like they might be able to add up quickly, but they're still dumb as anything not to see this. Their compliance imposes terrible costs on us, as I've said thousands and thousands of times before. And they're also like really simple people. I remember, this is probably about 10 years ago. Do you remember this Pokemon thing? And they brought out a new thing of it where on your phone, you could be out and about and you had to look for Pokemon and you had to collect virtual Pokemon when you found them when on the street or something. Well, my wife was telling me about this person who's like a computer nerd. And this person spent hours of her time like walking the streets, walking like up hills and stuff, looking for these virtual Pokemon that she could collect on her phone, and she got bing bing like stars and dopamine hits for collecting these things. And this is the mentality of the morons that we're up against. These people who, later on they'll love it, the computer gamization of their lives. Oh yeah, social credit's really great, because I can trade in. If I don't eat meat, that means I can save carbon credits, so I can go to Tuscany more often and fly there more often. And it's really great, this new system. It's really great because I can trade carbon credits and do that. And basically, what these idiots don't understand is that they're not valuing their own freedom at all. They're prepared to accept other people's dominion over them, the government's dominion over them. And for me, I will never accept that. I will never accept being a character in somebody else's computer game. I will never accept the digitization, the computer gamization of my own life. I will not do this. So, yeah, a bit of a rambly one, but I think that's all I want to say today. I think what we've got to do is push back, keep on pushing back against this digital ID stuff, and just hope that when they start to use the digital ID for nefarious reasons, like to control how much meat you're allowed to buy or how much petrol you can put into your nearly new BMW that you've bought on tick, that some NPCs and normies might feel inconvenienced. We need to tap into that. That's ultra selfish, moronic behavior of the NPC and normie. We need to tap into that and like say to them, hey, you like your driving around in your 3-year-old nearly new BMW estate that you bought on Tick. Don't sign up for digital ID because it could be used to ration petrol, because of this terrible Iran war that's completely legit and everything, blah, blah. We need to ration petrol because it's not fair on poor people to have it rationed through a higher price. We need to have rationing in volume terms. You're only allowed to buy so much petrol every month, comrade, for the greater social good. So we need digital ID, blah, 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 blah. We need to kind of explain to normies and NPCs, do you actually want that freedom to buy as much petrol as you want or to go on holiday whenever you want? That freedom's got to be worth something to you. And I think that's the only thing we can do with the normie and the NPC, because they're not really interested in morality. They're not really interested in human rights. All they're interested in is me, 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 me. In fact, Mark Passio would call these people de facto Satanists because through their behavior, you actually see what they really are, which is little mini-me Satanists. The only thing that matters to them is themselves and their luxuries and the stuff that they can force in their mouths and the status symbols that they can own and all of that. But we've got to try to use that to our advantage. And that's how we get at the NPC and normie, through their selfishness, and say, well, look, they're going to use this to curtail your consumption. So for selfish reasons, you need to push back against this. So that's all I want to say today. So God bless.